And my presentation is about decentralization of rights to the local bodies for governing environment from policy to practice. If you take the case of India, we had enough resources, abundant natural resources once. After a few decades, we could see the land, water, forest, all those resources are exploited to a large extent, and it is because of the overuse misuse of the population, and with the huge population the government could not look after all the parts of the country. As a result, the resources, common public resources are exploited. So this is a continuous phenomenon, and even this COP26, our Prime Minister has assured that we will be coming out of reaching the zero emission level. We are giving promises, but what are the major reasons why the environmental externalities, negative externalities we are witnessing so far? The reason for exploitation is population growth. No doubt about it, the population exploration over the period has affected the natural resources. On the other hand, the nature of the property itself allows to exploitation. If you take the nature of the property or common property resources, it is non-excludability and non-rival. So when you cannot exclude others by using a property, all will be enjoying the common property resources, and there will be a competition. They will be enjoying as they wish. So the non-excludability and the non-rival nature of the public good, it leads to exploitation of the natural resources. Then, as it is a public good or a common public resources, what a person is thinking is, why I have to spend, why I have to take care of the resources. So as a result, there is a free rider problem. Let someone spend for the managing the resources. Let me enjoy without spending. Such a nature is coming up. Similarly, it results in tragedy of commons, what Gazette Harian speaks about. The tragedy of common is people are misusing, overusing the resources as they don't worry about the future. And this is the reason. So what has to be done? The only way is we have to decentralize the rights to the local bodies. When if you take the India with a huge population and a huge number of state and districts, it cannot look after all the parts of the country. And what has happened? India has decided to decentralize, and it is also witnessed that the resource depletion is continuous, and it is because of the institutional failure. And what the many developing countries, including India, they have planned to adapt the decentralized process so that we can manage it efficiently. In 1992, the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments, it gives the rights, it has decentralized the rights to the local bodies. That is to Panchayat Raj in rural area and municipalities and corporations in urban region. This is the decentralization that was implemented in 1992. So why we have to decentralize? The thing is, when we decentralize the rights, the monitoring of the resources will be very easy, and the government can be free from the difficult task. So that we can decentralize and we can bring more efficient management principles. Similarly, they can bring the local bodies, local people into managing the natural resources. That it will be very evident. Similarly, the decentralization would bring changes in social capital assets. They can manage the pond, they can manage the grazing land, they can manage the thrashing ground. Everything can be managed when it is given to the local body as compared to the government as a whole. So what is the efficiency between the decentralization? What is the efficiency of decentralization? If you decentralize the rights, you can account the cost in decision making. Just when you are going to take a decision at a panchayat level or municipal level or corporation level, then we can discuss and we can take the decision according to the situation. Because the local people alone know the actual problem going around them. So it increases the accountability, reducing the transaction cost. See, when you measure for the whole country, then it will involve huge transaction cost. When it is at local level, there is no transaction cost. Just in no time you can meet, you can consult, and you can bring some developments. Then you can match the services of the people. So this decentralization will bring coordination, and it will share the local knowledge. So it is good to decentralize the rights. By keeping this in 1992, the government has decentralized its rights. And if you take the responsibilities of the panchayat and municipalities, the total duties given to the panchayat is 29 duties. Out of these 29 duties, for environmental management alone, there are 8 duties which is exclusively for environmental management. Similarly, for municipalities or corporations, the total duties are 18, wherein for environmental management alone they have 7 duties. So the government is very particular while giving their rights to the local bodies. And if you take the case of duties of the panchayat in environmental management, I have taken all the duties and I have taken only the duties that is very particular about the environmental management. You can take agricultural extension, land improvement, soil conservation, then water management, soil, social forestry, drinking water. So these are the major duties handed over the panchayat for managing the environment. And if you take the case of urban, that is municipalities or corporation, the government has decentralized the right of urban planning, including town planning, because when they plan accordingly based on the space, based on the water availability, based on the number of trees available in the town, by having the drainage facility, enough space for everything, for park. So it has given the rights to the municipal and the corporations. And regulation of land use and water supply, which is a huge important role that the corporations or panchayat has to be done. Then another is solid waste management, which as the population is going on increasing, then we generate more and more waste. How those waste are managed? Then urban forestry, not only in rural area, urban forestry is also given as a duty to the municipalities and the corporations. And providing parks, gardens, playgrounds, and regulating the slaughterhouses, tanneries. So wherever the pollution will be, they have to monitor, and they have to monitor the industries in the urban region, whether they are polluting or whether they are farming, following the norms of the government. These are the duties given to the local bodies for both the urban and rural region. And only that, the government has implemented Manrega in the year 2005, which supports the rural area in managing the environmental resources. If you take up for water conservation and managing the ponds, desilting the rivers, strengthening the bunds of the rivers, and also providing land development, flood control, then these are the various measures, and government is spending huge amount for Manrega and for managing the rural area, so that when rural area is managed well, they can not only that they are getting some income, and simultaneously the agriculture will be good. That is the intention of the government. So we can understand that the government has given the duty to the panchayat and the municipalities and corporations for managing the environmental resources. But in practice, what is the outcome of this decentralization? Whether it has created any impact? So giving a right to a person or giving a responsibility to a person, whether it has created any impact? If one is giving a responsibility to me to take a class, then how I am taking the class, whether there is any good performance, whether there is any impact. So if you analyze the decentralization process of our country, we could see there is no improvement in managing the environmental resources. The thing is, the municipalities, the corporation, they are very particular in spending the developmental activities. If you give funds for laying road, construction of bridges, construction of buildings, all these works are going well by the local bodies. But in case of managing the natural resources, it has failed. You can see even in the rural area, the water is polluted, groundwater is depleted almost. They are extracting huge groundwater, and there is no rules and regulation for this, and there is no benchmark level for groundwater exploitation. Just we go on exploit the groundwater. And deforestation, with the few forest ranges, we cannot manage the whole forest. Here the forest is depleted, and we are going for huge deforestation. And if you take the rural area, there is no proper drainage which connects the pond or river. So like a check dam, we could see the water is floating throughout the village, rural area. So these are the various issues in the rural area. with regard to environmental management. The land is degraded, soil erosion is there, salination is there. As we are exploiting more groundwater, the villages which is close to seashore, it is getting salinated. So industrial pollution, overgrazing, open defecation. Even though we have brought Swachh Bharat mission, still the people are not using the rest room facilities. So this pollutes the environment. It affects the environment. So this is the actual scenario that we witness today. But the decentralization was happening in the 1992. Around we have passed around 32 years. But what it has contributed, what the panchayat has contributed for managing the environment is a question. Then similarly in the case of urban region, they face huge air pollution, water pollution, groundwater exploitation, and scarcity of drinking water. The people in urban area, they suffer, particularly in summer season they used to suffer a lot. So cutting down the trees, and there is no mercy of managing the trees. If they want to do, just they can cut down without any permission from the government. So because of this, there is a huge temperature, increase in temperature. Survival of a household in urban area is very difficult nowadays. So it is because the urban bodies as well as the rural bodies, they have not taken up their responsibility through decentralization, and which has led to exploitation of the natural resources. Okay, why decentralization has failed? What is the reason behind it? If you take, lack of monitoring is there. No one is there to monitor the natural resources available in urban or rural region, and there is no accountability. How many ponds are there? How many trees are there? What is the land area? Or how much grazing land we have? We do not having any accountability. If you see in Chennai, they say that around 1,000 ponds are encroached by the common people. So this is the situation, and lack of interest by among both the people as well as the government, local government. They are not coming together. Public involvement is poor. So there is lack of cooperation. These are the various reasons for the failure of the decentralization in India. Okay, what has to be done? So these are the issues. Government decentralized in order to make a efficient management of natural resources, that too keeping sustainability in mind. It has given the rights. These are the rights that you have to do. But the local bodies has failed to manage the environmental resources, but they are implementing all other schemes. Manrega, the function, the works are going on. But what impact it has created, that we have to understand. Nothing it has created. Without connectivity, they are simply digging the pond. Without connectivity, how the water will reach to the pond? So these are the issues pertaining at the local level. So there is a complete failure in government, in local bodies and community. Altogether we have failed. Okay, what has to be done? What government has to do further? So we need not to go for a new policy or a new regulation. Still we can follow the same decentralization policy, where we have to move from policy to practice. Okay, what is to be done? First we have to take all the decentralization policies and we have to explain to the local bodies. Next, we have the local bodies or urban or rural, they must give first priority for the environment. Environment is the first, and they must give first priority to the environment. Then only they must concentrate on other works. Then there should be a regular monitoring at block level. The block officer has to visit all the village panchayat and he has to monitor how they are managing the natural resources, how they are managing the pond, river, how they are desilting, whether it is managed well, how is the grazing land, how is the common land, how many trees are there, whether the trees are managed, forest is managed. Everything has to be monitored at a block level. Then we have to evaluate the local bodies, how they are performing. So still now, when we allot fund for laying road, then after laying road, the government officials are coming, they are evaluating and they are sanctioning the fund. Similarly, the environmental management of the local bodies has to be evaluated, how they are doing, what is the situation last year, what is the development in the current year. Everything has to be evaluated, and this evaluation must give some scores according to the level of management, according to the level of improvement, not just sapling plants and leaving it. How it is growing, how it is managed, everything has to be monitored and must be given score. And lastly, district collector has to visit and he has to evaluate in person and he must give score, because environment is the important. Without oxygen, without water, we cannot survive. So we understand. By understanding, we are not managing it. We are leaving as it is. When there is problem alone, we are speaking. It should not be there. The district collector must come forward and he has to visit all the panchayat and he must evaluate how they are doing and he must give score and he must give the value for it. So it has to be done every year by the collector, wherein at a block level there should be a regular visit and they have to evaluate and they have to give advice. And if the local bodies are doing all these measures, then alone the district collector or the government must sanction funds for the other developmental activities like road, water tank or culvert, whatever it may be. First priority is management. If they are good in environmental management, then only we have to sanction funds for other purpose. If this is going to happen, then definitely the decentralization of rights will be a successful measure. Unless otherwise, if you are not taking up all these measures, just if you leave as it is, then we cannot manage the resources. When we manage the resources at local level, definitely we can bring huge change at a national level. Then we should be a model for the other countries. So that as we are speaking about international environmental issues, when we keep up our own environment neat and clean, and if you manage sustainably, then other countries can also adapt what we are doing. This is my humble request, and thank you for your patience listening. Thank you.